Okay, awesome. Great. So welcome everyone. Happy Monday, first Monday of the month, November 2020. What year are we in? 2024. So I don't want to spend too much time. I want to turn it over right away to Autumn Romano, who is joining us from, remind me where you're at. Are you in?
I'm in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
That's what I thought. Okay, Colorado Springs. And you guys have such a treat today to hear her speak. Her topic is on nervous system regulation. Those of you who study the polyvagal theory, those of you who do zones of regulation work at your school, this is going to be such a nice pairing and such a nice addition. If those are new terms for you, you're going to walk away with some really amazing tools to incorporate into your own daily practices and into your classroom. Autumn also has this adorable book, which will give you an opportunity to, she'll give you us the link, and I'll provide the link to purchase this book if you would like for your classroom. It's called Body, Wisdom, and the Polyvagal Theory. So this is one of her great resources that she'll share with us as well. So Autumn, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. This is just such a neat opportunity to be together. There are the important work that happens between teachers and students. I will call it sacred. So I'm really happy to be here today with all of you. This is Banksy. He's my therapy dog. He works with me for my in-person clients, and we do some volunteer work at a local school. But I just wanted him to bring him in to say hi. He'll be in the room with us. But I know for me, whenever I'm getting started with something like this, there's just I'm gonna have a little bit of extra energy, right? Especially because we're always trying to get the Zoom set up. Is everything working right? And so I will use him as a resource. So he's here all the time. And I think about how we have so many circles of support, right? So one of the things we're going to be discussing today are how do our bodies work when it comes to communication, and how do our students' bodies work? And then how are our bodies working together in tandem? Sometimes when we're thinking about it, and all the time, whether we're addressing it or not. And so for me, that's a way for me to kind of prepare for our meeting, is to have Banksy with me and know that just kind of a short snuggle with him is going to help me be better at sharing information with you. So I am a total body person. Okay. So I love polyvagal theory. I love nervous system health and regulation. And if we were in person, I would have us all like standing up barefoot. So I will do whatever I can to kind of help with my body reach your body through the Zoom screen. So we're just going to do a couple of different practices throughout. I will try to think of ones that you can use in a classroom, whether it's a virtual classroom or in person, but these are ones that you can use with anyone. You can do them totally 100% by yourself. You can do them with people you live with, people you work with, and of course your students. So first off, let's just maybe kind of like a quick body scan. So some people, to kind of be able to track their interior, they like to close their eyes. For some folks, it feels a little better to just kind of look off in a distance, or to just have eyes downcast. So whichever way feels good to you, close your eyes or kind of stare off and just notice the inside of your body. Can you feel your toes? Maybe wiggle them around. You could push your feet into the ground a little bit. If you can, maybe notice where your legs attach to your body. So for me, like my belly feels pretty calm right now. My chest feels kind of like happy and excited. And then my shoulders feel a little tight. And my head feels clear. So maybe just inhale with a long exhale. Go ahead, come back to eyes open. The really neat thing about inhales and exhales is a lot of times when we say take a deep breath, people will inhale, which isn't necessarily bad. Inhaling's great, but inhaling makes our heartbeat faster. So if our goal is to kind of like chill the vibe in our body or in others' bodies, really we want to focus on an exhale. So our heart beats faster when we inhale, it beats slower when we exhale. And it's hard to flip that if you think about inhale. So sometimes just saying, let's just have a long exhale. And then the inhale will come, right? Our lungs work that way. I'll let Banksy out. He's done with us. So, okay, now that you kind of noticed where your body is, maybe it feels sort of excited, maybe it feels sort of tired, maybe it feels awake and like ready to be here. First thing we're gonna do is just sort of open palm right on the chest here and just do like some taps and play around with it. So you might like an open palm tap. You might like kind of a fingers curled kind of light tap. You might like a fast tap. You might like a slow tap. You might like eyes open. You might like them closed. You might like it more firm or soft. And it's interesting when we think about what we like and we're thinking about our bodies. One way to kind of ask the body, right? If you do it, you could, it's multiple choice, right? So maybe you do the fingers curled and then you do it open. And you kind of ask the body, which would, this way, does it kind of open? Does the body open a little bit to that or does it kind of get tight? Right? And then try this. The body open a little bit to that or does it feel kind of tight? And who knows, maybe they both feel fine and there's not a big difference. But it's interesting to start to notice that we have a unique fingerprint of a nervous system. And that is sort of the basis of what we're talking about today, right? When we're talking about nervous system regulation and polyvagal theory, one of the beautiful sameness of us all is that we have a nervous system, and our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system state is heavily controlled, if not totally controlled, by our vagus nerve, right? And so Banksy also has a vagus nerve because he's a mammal. So all mammals have this vagus nerve. It is the largest nerve in the body, and it's the 10th cranial nerve. So a lot of times we think about nerves coming from our brain and going to our body. And we think that all the information begins at the brain, right? And then the brain is telling the body what to do. But this enormous, vagus means wanderer, okay, in Latin. And then Resma Menakem, I love his work around polyvagal theory, and he calls it the soul nerve, right? So this nerve, this enormous nerve, 80% of it is afferent, meaning that these nerve endings originate in the body. Okay, so they are feeling nerves and they're afferent, right? So they're capturing information and then they're giving that to the brainstem, and then the brain is telling you what to do. So a good way to think about this is like our startle response. Say you're in a room right now and a balloon pops. You don't necessarily know if you're going to like or not, right? You don't think about it. You don't choose to what your startle response will be. It just happens. You either, jump, or your heart beats fast, or you're like, whatever, right? So your body is responding to a stimulus in the environment without your thoughts attached to it. It just happens. And so that is the vagus nerve, okay? It's also going to influence how our voice is, right? And we'll be talking about that when we get into the 3 different nervous system states. And I go by colors. So I say red, green, and blue. So depending on how our nervous system is doing and how our vagus is functioning, determines our voice, right? So if I'm mad, my voice is going to sound like this, right? It's tight, doesn't have a lot of prosody, and it's a little bit sharp. All of that is influenced by my autonomic nervous system, okay? The vagus also controls how we're digesting food and also controls how our diaphragm is working. Okay, we can have 3 different ways that we breathe. We can have the belly breath. You know, you see babies and they just have these big bellies, right? And they breathe with their belly. Okay, this is zone 1 breathing. This is like, I am so taken care of. There's like somebody who picks me up when I'm sad. There's somebody who feeds me. There is, somebody keeping track of things. And I am just totally set to rest and digest. Okay. Now there's zone 2 breathing is like in the more kind of the ribs, lungs, belly, like the upper belly, right? From here to here. Okay. Zone 2 breathing is like, whew, playing a little basketball, like this is fun. Or like I walked up a flight of stairs, or I just had a startle response and now I'm kind of recovering. Okay. Zone 3 breathing is like, I might die if I don't run fast enough. Okay. And that is all above here. So it's interesting, right? Like our first and second ribs are inside of our clavicle, right? So your collarbone is right here. Your lungs are right underneath there, right? Lungs come up all the way up here. And then you have your first and second ribs are right underneath here. So a lot of times when people's necks are really sore, it's actually those first and second ribs are kind of stuck up here. And that has a lot to do with having a tense neck, which is fascinating, right? That's how much our breathing influences everything and how much everything influences our breathing, right? At that point, it's bidirectional. And so how we're breathing is a way that we can notice how we are, but it's also a way that we can influence how we are, right? So I guess the most important, well, there's 3 really big takeaways from today. And there's the 3 things we're going to talk about are neuroception, co-regulation, and these 3 different nervous system states, these autonomic nervous system states that I'll refer to as red, blue, and green. But I think what's underneath that is, why does it matter? All right. So why it matters is that when we understand the nervous system, we understand that we have this green social engagement system. This is the belly breath. Okay. This is, man, I feel so at ease that learning is fun and easy, even if I don't know what's happening, right? Because learning can be fun and easy, right? Even if the subject matter is challenging, right? Learning fun and easy doesn't mean you know it all. Fun and easy means there's someone who feeds me when I'm hungry. There's someone watching the door. I have this belly breath. Okay. So that's green, right? And then we have the fight or flight, which is kind of this, kind of breathing that can happen. And that is more what I call red. So we're used to fight and flight, right? We know fight and flight. And fight and flight, whew, it's not easy in the classroom. Okay. It's not easy. I get that. And that is part of like a protection mode. And then we have blue. Okay. So blue is the more shutdown. Blue is like, what's interesting about blue from a student perspective is that blue can be, I'm sort of shut down and tired, or blue is like, I'm so disconnected because of whatever reason. And so blue can look like a good student, right? Because blue, sometimes some folks can sort of call it in, right? They can just sort of be a little bit shut down and show up as engaged, but they're not they're not coming from a safe engaged. They're just sort of compliant, right? And we'll get into that a little bit more. So just understanding that these nervous system states happen because the body is interacting with its environment, right? So that's a lot. That's a lot just thinking about that. Let's go back to that first practice that we did, and I just want to see if you notice if it's more impactful, and then I'm going to show you one more. So kind of just come back to the body here, feel your feet on the ground, maybe just do a tiny bit of tapping. Maybe do the curved finger one. See if you like one more than the other. Let's try this. This is kind of like just using the hands. It can be fast, it can be slow. All right. Okay, so before we get into any more meat of it, two things. One, I want you to really take care of yourself and where you are today. So if it's better for you to be camera off, go ahead. I'll miss your face. And y'all are doing big work every day. So whatever feels best for you, do that. You can turn your camera on or off. It's whatever. Just please do what feels good to your body. Okay, number two. When I was prepping for today, I was on the fence about how to share information, and I chose not to. We might bring in a couple of slides, but I chose not to because to have a slide dominant, like a slide forward presentation, because I would lose the ability to kind of use my nervous system to communicate with you, right? And so I thought, I have to sort of practice what I preach here and how much our bodies matter. And the ability for y'all to engage with this content will be so much higher if I'm here in the flesh with my face, with my voice. Okay. The other really cool thing about the vagus is that the small little branches that are in our face have everything to do with what's called the social engagement system. So when you have someone who's not making eye contact with you, it's because their autonomic nervous system is like, right? There's this branch. If we're going to have a flow chart, okay? There's this branch of like connection mode, protection mode. So connection mode is like, again, the baby, but connection mode can also be like, I'm playing some basketball, right? So connection mode is like, there's enough safety that I am here for it. My body is choosing connection. Okay, so connection doesn't always have to be a nursing baby, right? It is rest, but it's also being with other people in a way that is maybe a little bit higher heart rate. So play is part of connection, right? And I really want to talk about bringing play into the classroom. And not that I can tell you exactly how to do it because I'm not a teacher, but you guys, you're your own magicians, right? So I can just talk about the fundamentals of play and why play is a neural exercise and why it matters. And we can, maybe brainstorm some ways of how you already bring play in your classroom or how you want to do it going forward. But that is still part of connection. So we have connection mode and then we have protection mode. So when a body is in protection mode, it has lost its social connection. Okay. It's like that switch is actually turned off. It's not there. And so it can, not always, but it can look like somebody who's not making eye contact because the nerve endings that control all of those muscles here are like, they're not engaged. It's that there is an operating system that the body has, and it is not set to like, we want to look and talk to you, right? You can tell, when your kids are like that, right? Now, of course, there's one kids who, for neurodivergent reasons or whatever, are totally connected and are not making a lot of eye contact, right? That's that, or maybe they just look up here and there. So there is a lot of individual difference, right? That's what we talked about at the beginning with the tapping, is like we have these very unique, highly intelligent systems. I mean, our bodies are like race cars, right? They are capable of so much. And so the trick is to understand how they work and then to understand a little bit of what's happening for other people so that we can move from a place of, okay, I know that a body's in connection mode, or I know a body is in protection mode. Now, the second part of what I wanted to say was, okay, please, cameras on or off, that's up to you. Take care of yourself. The second thing is, yes, I'm going to make sure we have enough time for questions at the end, but also I want you guys to pop up with questions wherever you have them, because I know that, at least for me, I don't like waiting forever to ask my questions. And it helps with engagement because we're learning together, but this is that we're playing together too. So Amanda will help me with the chat too. So if you have something, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat and we can have questions at any time. So, right, we understand that our bodies are influenced by our surroundings. Okay. And that influences how our brain works, how our body works, and we don't choose it, right? The startle response. We didn't choose the startle response. So this brings us into neuroception. Okay, so neuroception is a term coined by Dr. Stephen Porges. He is the creator of the Polyvagal Theory. So he is a researcher. All of his initial research was on heart rate variability and babies and this sort of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And then he discovered, oh, wow, we actually know more about that. It's not just sympathetic is bad and parasympathetic is good. It was like, oh, we have this whole social engagement system aspect of our vagus nerve. So that he published Polyvagal Theory in the mid 90s. Okay. So when we think about how this matters, we understand that the way that our body is working is influencing our kids. Okay. So neuroception, this what we were talking about before, in that your body is sensing, the way that he defined it is that it is detection without awareness. So you can also think of your spidey sense, right? If you walk into somewhere, you're already kind of like, oh yeah, totally want to be here, right? Or maybe you walk into a space and there's an area that kind of calls you to it, or a person or a lighting or a voice or a sound, right? There's so many things that influence that spidey sense when you get into a new environment. And then your body is going to respond. Now, we have a lot of agency and sovereignty as adults, and I love to see any opportunity to share some sovereignty with children, right? I mean, I like the definition of sovereignty is that they have the ability to govern themselves, right? Because even little kids can. I mean, and not, obviously, it's developmentally appropriate. But I really like the belief inside of that they are sovereign beings. Okay. So when we think that all their nervous systems are so smart, right? And they're always going to be understanding what's happening for us and vice versa. So when our kids come into a physical classroom or a virtual classroom, their bodies are kind of asking, am I safe? Am I not safe? And then their bodies are responding. Okay. I saw that chat. Yeah, was that like, you want to know more about Blue Mode? No, go ahead. Unmute yourself if you want, Suzanne, and just please.
You can, I was really interested in what you were just saying, so I don't want to
Yeah. No, go ahead.
that. So you could table it, but I was just curious a little bit more about what you had to say about the blue zone and that being shut down, but thou had often a very compliant student may actually be in shutdown. And I'm
Yeah.
just thinking that sometimes when kids are very engaged, it can be really lively, but it can be noisy. And often as teachers, sometimes we're looking more for the shh, listen, but that doesn't always mean they're engaged. So I just, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
love to hear you say more about that.
Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. So let's just go back to where we were talking about when you walk in a room. So think about this for yourselves first. This will be easier if we understand this about ourselves. So maybe you're going into a situation you know is going to be kind of tricky for you. You know, whatever. It's a family thing, it's a staff thing. I don't know. Or you're just tired, or you have something hard going on in your life and you have to go to work, right? So you kind of know from the outside, oh, this is tricky. And you walk in and you just notice that right away you're like, hey, how are you? You're just on, right? You're on. You're making jokes. You are nobody would know you don't feel good. Nobody would know you're having a bad day, right? So some people can kind of, I mean, yes, part of that is growing up and part of that is like being a professional. And sometimes some people just have this ability to, like I said, use their social engagement system even when they don't totally feel it. So it's kind of it's a very nuanced thing, right? This understanding of like red, blue, and green. And then there's some people who just don't do that. Okay. You know, you probably know them, or maybe you're married to one, or you have a kid who just is like, you know, they get somewhere and there's like, they don't want to be there. When they get into that room, they're just like, nope, right? They sit down or they go get some food, or now we've got phones. So they just like, and they are just like, no. So even though if it's your kid or your husband and you might be irritated because they're doing it, man, that just tells the truth, right? Social engagement system isn't there. And then you have something in between, right? So you have this like ability to kind of chit chat with people even if you don't feel great. So as a teacher, it's really the blue is it's nuanced, but you can find it. Okay. So the blue is like you're not going to be making a lot of eye contact and you'll have a really flat voice. And it's kind of a like the whole body, it's like the whole body doesn't have isn't plugged in, right? So if we think about the eyes, I mean, yeah, maybe the eyes aren't like you're not noticing that there's a lot of expression here, but it's just the whole thing is just kind of like and you might have like just a really flat voice. Um, and the shoulders are slumped. So that's one way to notice blue. But when we talk about play, I'll talk about some ways that we can kind of help reach them. So there's a lot of ways to notice a blue and then to kind of pull it out. So for ourselves, let's try this really quick. So kind of close your eyes or whatever feels good to kind of be inside. Notice a time when you felt really overwhelmed. No, don't pick the worst time of your life, but just something mildly overwhelming. So you feel kind of just overwhelmed. It's Friday, right? It's the end of the week, and you're just like, oh. Maybe you notice that there's like kind of a slump in your shoulders, and there's like maybe a little bit of sadness, maybe a little bit of numbness. And it's just this like, there is no rising to the occasion, right? Okay. Now think of a person or a place or a pet that is easy to go to when you're feeling terrible, right? Or I brought in my Banksy. So if you have a pet or you have a person or maybe you have a favorite place, maybe you like a park or the beach or you like playing basketball. So bring that feeling of this goodness into your body. So I'm going to picture Banksy. Don't tell my husband, but Banksy's so easy. So I'm going to picture Banksy, and I'm just going to kind of bring the idea of Banksy into my body. Take a couple deep breaths. And I can feel some kind of goodness come in, some lightness come in. Go ahead and open your eyes. So that sort of trick is the next one I want to talk about is co-regulation, right? So it's using a regulated body when we feel dysregulated. So, right, so we kind of made ourselves feel a little dysregulated with that activity, trying to feel what blue feels like. And then you bring in something that is supportive. So it can be a pet that died. For a long time, I could do this cool visualization of my dog Max that died. And it was like so great to bring him in, right? So this is co-regulation. We all need support, you guys. So how can we support teachers, right? They really need a strong pre and post game. All of you do, right? So I'm like, what can we do in the morning as y'all get ready, right? Like, is there a great song that we can play? Is there a prayer? Is there, a dog that, whether the dog is alive or not, or it's a dog from when you were a kid, or it was this, childhood friend that you loved, or it was the beach or whatever. And then you bring that feeling in and you're like, okay, I have this with me too, right? So this is co-regulation. And then co-regulation is also what we're doing for our kids in the classroom, right? So the trick is, if you're noticing one of the kids is in like a protection mode, you want to offer connection mode, right? So you want to offer kind of the regulation of your body to them. Now, what do you do if you don't feel regulated, right? First, just be honest with yourself. It's fine, right? Like, I'm all about let's have like the compassion for our humanity, right? We all have bodies, we all have nervous systems. And nervous system states are meant to be flexible. We're supposed to have all of the states. So you're not supposed to just stay green and totally like, I love you all the time. And I'm just so ready for it. That's not real. I don't expect that of anyone. That's not a real thing. But you can in the second, right? In the second before you go to that kid that is lost or irritating or causing trouble, right? This kid that is not in connection mode, before you're going to go and offer your regulated nervous system to him, you can stop for a little bit of regulation, right? And you can do that in the classroom by saying, maybe you do the tapping thing. Another one that's kind of fun for the classroom is like, I call it horse lips. Just, your students, and if they laugh, great. That works too, right? Because if you do horse lips and they laugh, same thing. Same thing. It's a way to kind of off charge extra, because protection mode brings a lot of that sympathetic energy, that kind of fight or flight energy, go energy. And so just changes it. So, and if they laugh at you, fantastic. Laughing is great. One of the things when we talk about play, I really love the idea that each of you have something that is the thing that your body kind of opens towards. And then you find a way to bring that into your classroom as your version of play. So say you're like a juggler. I don't know, you could be a bad juggler, even better, because again, they will laugh and you will laugh and it's okay, right? And you come back to that beginner mindset and that sort of connected and ready, even when it's hard. So maybe you have some bean bags and the kids are coming in the morning and you're juggling and they're going everywhere. Or that you're having a hard time and you just say, oh, I need a juggling break, right? Because a juggle break could be 10 seconds. Or maybe you love to sing. And so you sing a song or you hum a song, humming, whistling, singing. These are things that, they'll call them, it stimulates the vagus nerve. So these are like regulation practices if you do them in community, it can be kind of like a hack. Sometimes they call it a hack, right? Maybe you really like movement. You could, do this one, or even like, sometimes I call it the butterfly hug. That can help. You could even, I don't know, if you have enough room in your classroom, do like jumping jacks. I'm all for it. Now, you know your classroom better. If that's just going to cause pandemonium, maybe not. But maybe, like the hand rubbing one, right? That's something you could totally do. If you know that really works, it's like you could do that in the middle of dealing with the kiddo that gets you going, right? Or do it right before, or do it together. And even, yes, you could hide it, but even better, just say it out loud, right? Like, this is what I do, when I know that my body needs support. So I really love the ideas of us talking about our bodies needing support rather than us, right? That it's not this something is wrong with your personality or your brain, or it's just that your body, in that moment, your body needs some support, some resources. Okay, I do want to,
Autumn,
yeah,
I
please,
was just
Amanda.
gonna say, I love how you said this at the beginning, like when you were doing the practice, you were really modeling for us by saying like my tummy feels relaxed, like my heart is excited, and you were naming those things
Mhm.
and just talking about that right now. I feel like as teachers, we sometimes get so guarded. And so I love
Mhm.
like saying those things out loud, like my body needs a break right now, or my
Yeah,
body is feeling this right now. And that
yeah,
modeling to give the kids that opportunity of like, what's your body feeling?
yeah,
Um, I just
so
think
good.
that's so important for teachers to say those things out loud.
Yeah. That would be like if I could dream, that would be my dream, is like that in the morning, like so in my book we talk about we'll go through the slides. We talk about the different colors, and that would be like, I'm, red. I have a red body. I have a blue body. I have a green body, and that it's all okay. Right? I love this idea that maybe that's possible, right? That we could show up in the morning and just say out loud to them, like, I am so happy to see you guys, and I'm just having a rough day. You know, and maybe you tell them why, maybe you don't. I don't, again, your people, your classroom. So maybe it's appropriate to say, I have a headache, or I didn't sleep well, or not, whatever. But like Amanda said, it's even, yes, we're modeling for them, but it's a step more than that, because the interesting thing is that they know, their bodies know, okay? Their bodies know when everything is going well for you, and their bodies know when it's not. And it's a tricky place for kids, right? It's a tricky place because some of those kids are going to be just very empathetic, and they are going to sense all the bodies all the time. And so when an adult in the room or in their sphere just kind of names that, it's like, whew, then they get to be like, oh, okay. Right. And it helps them understand. Yes, it models. Yes, it gives them permission, but it also is really increasing their emotional intelligence, because at some point they're starting to go, oh, it's like they're not being gaslit, right? Because it's like, oh, that's real. Now, they might not have all the language for that. That's the really fascinating thing about nervous system health, right? Is so that their bodies are really smart, really intelligent right from the get-go. Babies don't like to be held by everybody, right? And they know that. So you have these really smart, intelligent bodies right away. And then I called about us being race cars. We have to like learn how our race cars work. But all that intelligence is there. It's there very early. And so naming things really helps kids, really helps kids. Amanda, will you pull up a couple of those slides for me, please? The one with the autonomic nervous system states. And then you guys are going to get this as a handout. So we have the 3 ones I talked about. The one that just, has like the 3 robots. And if it's not coming up, that's okay. because I can show a lot of it here. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So the autonomic states, right? So we talked about green, red, and blue. So green, they are feeling safe, they are ready to learn, and their social engagement system is working. So red and blue are both part of the protection mode. Okay, red is kind of that fight or flight. You're going to see big behavior, angry, frustrated. And then blue is that sort of, see how he has like the little cloud all the way around him? It's like this island, this bubble, right? They're hard to reach. Okay, go ahead to the next one, please. Okay, so ventral vagal, right? This ventral vagal is synonymous with social engagement system. You can use those words interchangeably. So when we're in a green mode, we feel safe, we are available for connection, we'll make eye contact. And you can notice this with your body. See, even now as I've been talking more, so like the tops of my shoulders and my back are feeling more relaxed because we're engaging. So that has helped my body, just that small kind of stiffness that I had, get more fluid. You're engaged with the world, you're ready to learn, and you're open to new ideas. So this is a really interesting thing. That play, we have to have enough green energy to be able to play. And play, right? Play is kind of that neural exercise of open to a new ideas, right? It's debate and any kind of, we're tossing things around, but everybody's not agreeing. That is kind of, that's a play in our mind, but we have to have enough safety to play in that way. Okay, go ahead into the next one, please. Sympathetic. So, and by the way, the kids love this. So my book is used in a couple of different classrooms, and there's a local preschool that uses it. And some of the kids will carry the book around, and they just love the red robot guy. So it's really fascinating, right? Anger. The other thing that I think is interesting is that a lot of adults, especially women, we're so not allowed to be angry. And so it can be an emotion and a state that's hard for us to find in our body. And yet young kids are like, oh yeah, the red robot, they're my favorite. So sympathetic, fight or flight, this like high charge, which is again, part of a protection mode. Irritable, so that's an interesting thing. So for me, it's always interesting for me to remind myself when I'm feeling irritable that I'm not feeling enough safety. Upset stomach, tense body, anxious, the tight voice, rigid mindset, right? Isn't that interesting? Angry, that fight or flight response. These are the kids that in a school setting, we have a hard time with their behavior if we don't have a great understanding of how to support that. Okay, the next one, please. Okay, so the dorsal vagal. So yeah, depressed, numb, extra tired, feel isolated, distant. So constipated, that's an interesting one, just so that you know for yourself. Or for littles if you've got like preschoolers and stuff, because the vagus nerve highly innervates our low belly. So, I mean, how we're pooping has everything to do with how much safety we have in our life. So that's really interesting. It's not the only factor, but it's a really big one. Okay, so little to no eye contact and that freeze response. So just that kind of feeling overwhelmed, don't know what to do. Great, thanks. Go ahead to the next one. Okay, so play is a neural exercise. So play is how we can help kiddos that are kind of stuck in red or blue, or also if we are stuck in red or blue. And play cannot happen by yourself. So that is really fun. So play, really important in classrooms. Okay, the next one, please. This will be the last one. Oh, actually, no, I have two more. Okay, so make this your own. Teachers are alchemists. I believe this. I mean, you guys are unique. You have your own training. You have your own thoughts. You have your own life experiences. You have your own things you're great at and things you're bad at. And maybe you think some things are really funny or not. So everything that informs who you are, informs your body, and then you're bringing your body into your classroom. So it's like know your body and know how to use it to help support yourself and your students in your classroom. And that is by this race card. Get to know your race card. Don't hide your color from your students, right? Name your color, take your breaks. Your break can be 1 second in the classroom. Or if you need to leave the classroom, great. Maybe there's a plan for that in place. So you need a strong pre and post game. We're going to talk about that. These are some of the pre and post games I like. Singing in the car, like just don't listen to the news. I mean, I hate to be bossy, but just like listen to good music in the car. I'm telling you, you pretty much already have to drive anyways. If you get to sing while you're driving to work or on the way home, and if you have the same playlist, you could even have like your pregame playlist and then your postgame playlist. And the more you sing, like, and the louder, I mean, it is a way to really prepare your body and then help it recover when you come home. Okay, a walk can really do this, and changing clothes. I don't know if anyone has ever told you this, but for in helping professions like mine, you think about it as a uniform so that when you get home from work, say you're listening to that same playlist on the way home, you change out of your work clothes and you put on your home clothes and you're just like, oh, I am off of work and now I'm home. Shake it off. We'll do that. I'll show you how to shake it off. Okay, just the last one. And then, okay, so that's my contact information. I have a lot of resources on my website, and you can email me with questions. And that's another way to find the book. There's digital books and print books. My son did all the illustrations. And yeah, the science of connection, polyvagal theory in the classroom. All right, that's it for slides. Thank you so much for helping me share those. That is helpful. Before I go on to any more demonstrations, do we have questions? Is it making sense?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
okay, good, okay. Yeah, okay, good, it's making sense. Okay, so shake it off. Shake it off can be as simple as like this, right? Shake it off can be as simple as just like, whoop. Shake it off can be like your whole body. It can be like jump up and down, right? That can be a really nice one. I mean, even if the students, if it doesn't create too much pandemonium in your classroom, just to be able to kind of lift up on the balls of the feet and then let the heels drop, that can be a nice one. So shake it off can be as much or as little as we want. I mean, it could be an all out, just like everything, right? So there's an actual, so I work a lot in the trauma world. There's a shaking practice. And like, if you guys know you want to do this at home, but you don't know what to do and you don't want to have to think about it, do this for 1 minute every day. I have a person who does it in the bathroom. I don't think anybody in their room, in their house knows. It's fine. So you just set the timer. You can do it silent. You can listen to music, but literally all you have to do is just like jump up and down. Right? For 1 minute, or just shake the arms, shake the legs. You can even do it, like the hokey pokey style, like put your one arm in and your other arm and then one leg and another leg, right? So just shaking it out. You could do it in between classes. But if there was one thing that you wanted to do to help support your nervous system, shake for 1 minute a day. It could be in the morning, it could be at night, it could be both. More practices in the classroom.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
Autumn?
Yeah, please.
So I'm envisioning when we go into classrooms and work, and as a teacher, I remember this happening when there are always those kids who don't want to move their bodies, right? They want to stay in their seat, and that's okay, right? It's never forced. So I guess just being okay with that or encouraging them. I'm just curious what you would have to say about those kids in the class that you just know if they got up and shook their body, they would feel better, but it's really hard to engage them in that way and get them out of their comfort and doing that.
Right. So I guess there's a couple of different ways. I was just thinking about being silly, so I guess that's me. So like for me, I would maybe put on like ridiculous music and just keep doing it and like do it by them and see if they think I'm hilarious. Or you can also make it like the small steps, like scaffolding. Like start with just having the hands, you can't really see, but like hands on the knees, you know? Starting with something like that, or maybe it's like a stomp our feet, like let's all just stomp our feet, right, really loudly or really quietly, right? Or this one. So I guess, yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. I would try the different ones and I would watch them and I would be like, does it work if I get sillier and louder near their desk? Does it, if I play music, or if I get really quiet and I do something small, are they responding to that? So I guess I would probably, I mean, that's what I always say with these is you try it on in your body because again, you don't know. And that's what you're doing, right? You're trying to co-regulate with them. And so you're using your body to kind of influencing their body. And you don't exactly know how that's going to work out. It's all a little bit of an experiment. So I would probably experiment with every last thing I could think of and just see if what gets out to them and then try and bring all those into rotation, right? Because that's the tricky thing about having all the different students is how do you reach them all, right? I really like the idea of music in the classroom. I really like the idea of like you have a song, oh good, same, yes, that you have a song that you play when they're coming in. And maybe it's like a really sweet song or maybe it's a hilarious loud song. I don't know. But just this idea of like Resma Menicum would say, we're settling our bodies together, right? And so maybe when you sit down, you're trying this or you're trying this or you're whistling, right? Maybe when they're coming in, you're doing a simple whistle and you're trying to get the kids to whistle with you. But I love the idea of having some practices that are just there every day because again, even if they're not doing it and you're doing it, it's somewhere it helps, right? Somewhere it helps to have a little bit, even if it's just for you, especially say no one does it. Say you're literally the only one. Okay, pick something that works for you, right? If you like whistling, whistle because it will help your body get ready, right? And maybe they join in and maybe they don't, but just pick something that is for you that is body focused that, and you could talk about it being body focused or not, right? I mean, just doing it is. I think that laughing is a really good one too. So, I mean, using, yeah, it is. Yes. Well, and again, anything you do to help regulate yourself, great. But if anybody, I don't know if it works to do this, but I love using, I homeschooled for a little bit when my son just, we couldn't do public school. Anyways, I would use America's Funniest Home Videos and it worked. So maybe that's what you like. Maybe you like funny memes or you are all about funny cat videos or dog videos. When everyone comes in, be like, okay, I've got our funny cat video of the day, and you play a 10-second cat video. And even if it makes you laugh, some of those ones, the more you watch them, the more you laugh. Great. Again, maybe nobody else laughs, but that's okay. You're going to laugh, right? And that will help. And when your body laughs, it is signaling to their bodies like, that's okay, right? They're safe. It's playful, right? And this is how we're ready to learn together, but also be ready for a little bit of engagement, right? It's not just because safety isn't just that sleeping baby, right? Safety is all like, oh, okay, we're in the classroom. What's going to happen today? You're feeling supported enough that a little bit of volley is going to be okay. So anything you can do to support yourself is always going to support them.
I love that. It reminds me of I just had an image in my head of when I was a teacher, and I don't know why, but playing Kids Bop on
Yeah.
YouTube made me so happy. And even if only 3 kids were dancing and singing along, it made me so happy. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably when I was the best version of myself as a teacher, is after we would do those Kids Bop
Yeah.
breaks.
It works. I mean, it works. And it doesn't just work for some people. It literally works for everybody. Every single person. Because, okay, so the science behind it is that when you have that protection mode, your body, you have all these neurotransmitters that are telling your body to kind of, create tension or get ready to literally run away or fight. And so your whole body is metabolically ready for that, right? You're going to have higher cortisol and all of that. The innervation goes into the muscles, right? Not so much the organs. So when we laugh or we jump up and down or we do something that is using our body like that, it metabolizes. It's literally sort of eating that extra energy. And then it's like, huh. And also it's giving that vagus input of the social engagement system. It's flipping that switch. Or if you think about the old telephone operators that plug in things, it's like bing, social engagement system. And laughing, that's one of the ways that we communicate with other people, our sort of nervous system state. And dancing, I mean, it's really hard to be mad and dance. You can, right? There's some angry dancing, but like at some point it's gonna switch to something else. And even if it is ignorant dancing, great. Okay. Right? It's a way to move the body. And really, that is one of the best ways, Suzanne, when you were talking about the blue, movement is the way. Movement. But again, if movement makes that kid come farther and farther away, then whatever we can do to help, find a way that's something for them, it's. But movement, I guess I would try and find a way that some sort of movement that they would do, right? Because maybe they want to do the big movement, even if it was, I guess I would try with something small for the tapping one and see if we could get them involved. And then you just keep going. You either do it for a really long time or you do it many times throughout the day or throughout the class. And then because when the body has gone to that shutdown, it's because they've actually been in the red so much that it's so metabolically costly, they have to shut down. And so when we bring them into a little bit of movement, they actually feel better resourced and they feel closer to safety, because fight or flight is closer to safety than shutdown. Because shutdown is like playing dead. If you think of mammals, shutdown is like the little mouse in the cat's mouth that is like, and then the mouth, and then the cat runs away and it jumps up. So shutdown is like, whew, I've got nothing left. So being able to do a little bit of movement helps the body come into safety.
Such a good reminder. Oh my goodness, I feel like this was the fastest hour of my life. This was amazing. We need to have you back for a round 2.
Yes, please.
I just took 2 pages of notes, and I feel like I live in this work too, and I know it, but everything you said was so meaningful and practical, and I feel like I have new content to share with our teachers and really relevant to the work we do. And anyway, so this has been amazing. I just want to, it's 5:32, so I want to honor everybody's time. And so I'll let you just wrap up, Autumn. And then I think we need to have you back for a second session.
Please. You know what would be really fun too is if people had like one thing that they've been able to figure out and we kind of shared and workshopped a little bit, because that's the thing, is like I understand this in theory and I spend a little bit of time in a classroom, but like I said, y'all are alchemists. It's like there's so
Love that.
much that's possible. that sometimes when you hear, someone else is doing it, whether it's their pregame or it's in the middle of their classroom, or like, oh, I reached this one kid and, this was, how I use some sort of body practices or understanding, this connection, versus protection mode. So just please take good care of yourselves, whatever that means, watching America's Funniest Home Videos, dancing, just sing in the car, give that a try, or humming, whistling, shaking, and yeah, just keep taking care of yourself. Your body's a super smart race car, remember that. And thank
Does
you all for
anyone,
being here.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, does anybody have any like last minute questions or just comments for Autumn before we log off today?
I was just going to say, my heart felt super happy when I heard you mention play. As a kindergarten teacher, I just think that is so important for those young ones. And even, even past kindergarten, the play is so important. So I loved that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and if you're trying to advocate somehow in your school or whatever for your playtime, remember that Dr. Porges said this, play is a neural exercise. It is a neural exercise. I mean, and it's fun, but doesn't
Can't
get better
argue
than
with
that. And
that.
it makes us healthier, but it is really important for schools, really important. And adults, play. Because what it actually does, a quick little tidbit, when people are recovering from trauma and their bodies don't feel safe in that fight or flight mode, and they go into that blue shutdown really easily, I'm coaching people to spend time in that red mode with another person. That is play. So that's how we heal a nervous system that is struggling, is with play. So, and play is dancing, play is singing, play is exercise, play is, it's good if it can be back and forth. Play is basketball, play is juggling.
Right.
Just about anything.
Yay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Autumn. And we will do more work with you because this is just, I feel so good. I totally feel I'm like rocking the green zone right now.
Yeah, and I can see it, you guys, I can see it in your faces. It's really cool. You can see, like, I don't know how we all, how our social engagement system starts working.
I love that. And some new language, some new vocabulary to play around with too for teachers. It looks like the Google form for the feedback isn't working, everyone, on just a logistical note. So we will make sure we update the settings. And when you get the recording, if you don't mind just taking a moment to fill out that feedback form, or hold on to the feedback form, and as we get the settings updated, you can access it. But don't worry about that now. Just enjoy being in your blissful autumn state. And, we'll have you back again soon. So thanks everyone for being here tonight. I wish we had more time,
Thank
but
you,
we'll
everyone.
see everyone soon.
Bye.
Okay.